Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm Kathryn Mademann.
And we are back at the Holy Trinity Classical Christian School, and today we're excited because we're going to be talking about the completion of the 10-year anniversary here.
And that is exciting. So we're going to sit down and speak with Dean Joe Lawrence, who's of the upper school. We're going to meet Lindsey, who's the department chair of mathematics. And then we'll sit down with Jonathan Consul, who is the upper school Humanes Letter chair. And we have Rachel Kane, who just recently graduated. And then we also are going to meet with Parker Smith, who graduated 2 years ago. He's doing quite well. And we will have an opportunity to say hello and goodbye to Reverend Chad Lawrence, who is the founding headmaster here at the school, and we want to wish him all the best.
So a lot of stuff and a lot of great things to not miss, so stick right here. We'll be back with 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
843 TV, where the Lowcountry comes to speak.
.843 TV.
Where communities come to speak. And welcome to 843 TV. I'm delighted to be here. And today we get to interview Joe Lawrence, who's the dean here at the school. And we also have Lindsey, who's the department chair of mathematics. And a lot of great news are going on here. We just had a graduation, so congratulations to that.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of momentum in your fundraising. So let's start with you, because you've been at the dean of the upper school now for about a year, correct?
I have been.
And it must have been a great journey the past year.
Yeah, at this juncture, I'm thinking in terms of what it means to be a Christian in all aspects of one's life and one's studies. And after my first year, I'm filled with a sense of opportunity. What if students took their Christian convictions and followed the thread of truth and beauty and goodness all through their studies, whether it be mathematics, whether it be science, whether it be languages, whether it be humanities. All truth is God's truth, and I think the next stage in our development, which I'm excited to be working on, is discovering with students the unity of the truth.
And we were talking earlier, I love what you just said, because it's so lacking in education today, in our communities, in our environment. And so I think that just having that solid foundation is going to set them good for life in all that they do and all the journeys that they take. So I love it. Great stuff.
It is great, but it's a philosophy, it's an ideology.
So Lindsey, you've been here 3 years now?
Yes.
And tell us about your journey, and tell us about, we'll get into the math department and some of those things.
I've been teaching now for about 8 years. I started in public schools in West Virginia and in South Carolina, so I have a little bit of experience in several different states. And then I've also been in private schools here locally and then here as well. So I've had a variety of teaching experience.
You do, yeah, that's great. So what do you like about Holy Trinity that's a little different?
I love that they have a solid foundation coming up from the grammar school, so that's a huge advantage that we have students all the way from our lower school and up into the upper school. So by the time that they get to me, I'm able to work on that foundation that they have. They have procedures and skills that they've mastered throughout their time here at Holy Trinity, and so it makes the idea of teaching them conceptually when they get to calculus and they realize that there is some conceptual side to math. It makes it really enjoyable and easy for me to get to those students.
Calculus.
I know. Interesting. We were talking a little bit off camera about different curriculums, because different schools have curriculums, and something you were saying, this is very specific to the school. Share us about that. As a parent, who has children, and what's important to them is academics, along with the faith, but we want to know about that. So tell us that.
So in our lower school, we start with Memoria Press, which is very heavy on rote memorization of facts, and so we are able to build on that grammar of mathematics. They know the procedures. We move into middle school, where we use a combination of texts to prepare them for pre-algebra as they move into the upper school. Currently we have Prentice Hall books. They do a really good job of incorporating reasoning strategies in there. They also have options where we can go into proofs with the children. So we could go into more specific details about how we take certain concepts and actually make them prove them, make them discover them, instead of just giving them a basic formula to follow and use, here are the steps. We actually make them dig into the concepts and prove them and use them in problem solving.
Tell us about the class sizes here at the school in general and then in your department.
In general, we shoot for about 15 or 16 in a class, and it varies from grade level to grade level. Personally, I think 12 is the ideal number, and one famous man, Jesus Christ, happens to agree with me.
Good connection. Love it. That's great.
So tell us about how many grades per, classes per grade. Give us a little bit of the business, the model of the school, because is it one class per grade? Is it multiple classes per grade?
For the vast majority of grades, they're more than 16, and so we divide the class, the grade level, into 2 different sections. There are a few exceptions to that, but in general, we're at capacity in a number of grade levels, but not in all of them.
And you're continuing to build. How many were in your graduating class just last week?
That was a smaller class. It was 12 in that graduating class. The next grade coming up is around 20, and so it varies significantly. But what we're seeing is in the younger grades coming up, there are a lot more students, and we've got to divide that grade level into 2 different sections.
Yeah, well, and we finished that academic year. We have the next year, and we're talking about the growth of the school. So what's the forecast? What's the vision?
We only want to get so big in order to preserve things like class size, the intimate relationship between a teacher and his or her students. The cap has been set somewhere around 450 students. We're right around 400 students right now, and so there's room for growth certainly, but our conviction is it's possible to be too big as a school and to lose sight of what's really important, which is those meaningful interactions that students have with their engaged, passionate teachers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let's let you share a little bit more about your class and your department as we wrap up in about 30 seconds.
I teach a lot of the older students, but this year I was able to teach Honors Algebra 2, so I've had a full spectrum of 9th graders all the way to 12th graders. And as he said, that class size varies. My 9th graders, I have a little bit of a larger class compared to my calculus students. I had a smaller class this year of 4 calculus students, but they are juniors, and so they will actually take Calc 2 next year. So it's an honor to be able to teach at a school that can offer all the way up to Calc 2.
You know, it's interesting. I love this story, not to interrupt you, because having that small class, and calculus, I mean, I took calc. I mean, I like calc, I like physics, but, you know, when it's overwhelming and you have a smaller class where you can, as soon as that student gets the idea, then they'll it's that clicking moment when the light goes off, where they keep struggling, and all of a sudden, like, oh, now I get it, correct?
Yes.
And that's the charming of having a small class and having that, that supervision, that one-on-one. So I think it's terrific. Math is so hard, as it is, but that's terrific.
Well, we're out of time for this segment, but we've got a lot more to come here from Holy Trinity Classical Christian School. Stay with us.